Hello and welcome to Karuna's class at Working with Smile. In today's class, we are going to learn about classes and objects in Java. Classes are a very important concept in any object-oriented programming language. Before I explain about classes, let me give a brief introduction of another important feature of object-oriented programming language, which is encapsulation. Why it is important, we will understand with the help of an example. Now, encapsulation is basically the process of wrapping up of data, which are the properties, and the methods that operate upon the data in a single unit called a class. And in order to implement encapsulation, we define classes in our program. Let's make it simple. Consider this example of a capsule. Now, this capsule's outer shell, let's call it a class. The capsule's outer shell protects the medicine inside it. Let's call it data. Now, this data is very sensitive and it must not come in contact with the outside world. So the outer shell protects the data inside. And when the body interacts with the capsule, this medicine performs some actions. And these actions are, let's say, methods on the body in order to cure the illness. So encapsulation in simple words is known as the combining of data and the methods in a single unit called a class. So let's talk about the class. So now, as I said, that in order to implement encapsulation, we are defining classes. Now, classes hold the data and the methods together. Class is just a concept. Let's have a look at the definition of a class. A class is a user-defined data type. That means it is not a built-in data type like int, char, float. We define it as per our requirements. So it is defined by the user. And we use a class to define the structure of an object. Now, an object, we'll talk about it later. Consider for now that an object is any real world entity. Now, in class, we combine the data and the functions in a single unit. That's why we are using a class. By writing a class, we are defining the structure, or you can call it a mold. And in order to access that structure, we will be defining our objects. Let's have an example of this smartphone. Now, for this, let's say I have a class called smartphone, and the data and the methods that I will be having for this class smartphone will be, let's say, the brand of the smartphone, the model number, and the methods that any smartphone can do is call, or let's say message. So these are some of the examples of data and the methods for a smartphone. You cannot just use the smartphone itself. So we need to have an object of this category, smartphone. So let's say we have Galaxy and we have iPhone 15, then we have Nokia. So these are some examples of different smartphones from different companies. Every smartphone has a function of calling, sending a message. So if you notice that all the objects here will be able to perform these given methods. So this is how we understand about a class and an object in simple words. Let's consider this car. So by writing car, we just have a blueprint, we just have a structure. But when we say we have color of the car, number of doors, engine type, these are the properties of the car. Now, every car will have the behavior to do certain things like start engine, accelerate, brake. These become the methods which will operate upon the properties or the data of the car. Now, let me ask a question. If we have a class called book, what do you think will be the properties of this class? Any book will obviously have title, author. So here I have two books. The first book is The Blue Umbrella by Ruskin Bond, and the second is Malgudi Days by R.K. Narayan. So I will say that one of the data member is title and second is author. So for this book, we will have title as The Blue Umbrella. This is one object. This book is considered as an object. So for this object, I have the title Blue Umbrella and the author is Ruskin Bond. For the other book, the title is Malgudi Days and the author name is R.K. Narayan. So this is how we understand about classes and objects from the things available in our real world. Now, let's understand object deeply. First, very important thing that whenever you are trying to understand an object, consider it as a real world entity. So an object is anything you see around yourself, you observe it in the real world that has some properties and performs some functions. Every object has certain state and the behavior. State we call data, and the behavior are the functions or the methods that are performed upon the data. A class is just a concept. In order to work upon a class, we must be able to access the data and the member functions. That is possible only with the help of objects. So objects are actually the instances of a class, which will help us to access data and the functions of the class. And an object is the only thing which occupies memory, and it acts as an actual variable of a user-defined data type class. So let's say when we define a variable of type int is a built-in data type and n becomes the variable. Now for a class, here you can see I've written book considering the previous example. So book is my class. As I will be working on different kind of books, so I need to define different objects. So here B1 becomes an object. So you can see int n, int is the data type, n is the variable. Here book is the data type, which is a class, and B1 becomes the variable, class variable, or you can say it is an object. In order to give memory to this object, we must use this new keyword in Java so that a memory chunk is issued to this object B1. And then we write book. This is not a function, but we will learn about this in the coming videos focused on constructors in Java. So whatever is defined inside the structure of the class book, that much memory will be assigned to B1. So here I have a question. With the help of this example, anybody can easily understand how to implement classes, define data members, and write member functions. So first, let's try to understand this question. In this, we have to define a class electric bill, and the specifications are given here. The instance variables or the data members given here are string n, which is going to store the name of the customer, int units, which will store the number of units consumed, and double bill. So we have to write an accept function which will accept only the name of the customer and the number of units, and based on these number of units we have to calculate the bill variable. Next we have to write a calculate function, and the tariff is calculated as per the following information. So for the first 100 units we will be having ₹2 per unit. For next 200 units 3 rupees, and above 300 units we will be having 5 rupees charged per unit. Also note that a surcharge of 2.5% is charged if the number of units consumed are above 300 units. In the end, we have to define a print function which will display the information in the following format. And in order to access the member methods defined in the class, we must write a main function which is going to create an object of the class electric bill, and we'll call the methods accept and calculate and print. So let's start coding for this in IDE. So the first statement I'll write here is java.util.scanner. I'm going to import this package so that I can input values in my program. Next, we define the class electric bill. A class in Java is defined using the keyword class, as you can see here. Then we are going to define the data members. So first for string n, I'll rather make it name. So name will store the name of the customer. Then we have units for the number of units in the electricity bill, and the last one is bill of data type double. Then we have to define the accept function. This function accepts the data members, name and units. So in order to input the name, I'll write here scanner in equal to new scanner system.in. Those who don't know, I would just like to connect this with the example of the book that I explained in the video. If you look at this word scanner, it is similar to the statement I wrote, book B1. So here scanner is also a class, and like B1, in becomes the object of class scanner. In order to store the memory, we are using the keyword new, but here we want the memory to be of type scanner. So we are writing scanner here, and because I want to use it for entering values, so we write system.in. Next, we will just show a simple message to the user that the user has to enter customer name, and this is how we will write name equal to in dot next line. So next line is a method defined in the scanner class. We are using the object in to access that member function or the method of the class. Then we have to input the number of units, and we write units equal to integer dot parse int, and we write in dot next line. So this is our accept function, which is accepting the values. Next, I'm going to define the calculate method. This calculate method is going to have values for the variable bill. So I write here, if units is less than equal to 100, then we will have bill amount as units into 2.0. And when the number of units are more than 100, then we write here if units less than equal to 300. Now why I'm writing 300 here? Because in the question I explained that for the first 100 units we have 2 rupees. For the next 200 units we have 3 rupees. So when we have units as 100, we will be charging 200. But for the next 200 units, we will have 3 rupees per unit. So I'm writing here units less than equal to 300 because here in this else if, I will be calculating bill in this manner. For any amount which is below or equal to 100, units are multiplied by 2.0. So that is the amount 200 plus. Now I'm going to minus 100, which has already been mentioned here for the 100 units, and we are going to multiply it with 3.0 because for the next 200 units we had to calculate 3 rupees per unit. And in the last, we will have an else statement. Now this else statement is for any number of units which are more than 300. So the bill is 800. Why 800? Because for the first 100 we have calculated as 200, and if for the next 200 we were calculating 3 rupees, so 200 into 3, that was 600. So that comes out to be total of 800. And now we write units minus 300 because we have already given the amount for any number of units which were less than 300 or equal to 300, and this is 5.0 for the number of units which are more than 300. And also we have to give the surcharge of 2.5%. So 2.5 divided by 100 into bill. So this is my calculate function. In the last, we have a print function. So we write here, this print function follows the format which is given in the question. So we have to give the output in the similar way. So I write here name of the customer that is name. Then we write the number of units. Which are in the variable units, and the last we are going to display the bill amount. This is my print method. So here I am going to write a main method. Many students are often confused with this string args. We will be discussing this in some other video, but for now you can just understand that you have to define your main function like this. So here I define an object obj. You can have any name for this. You just need to understand that we are creating a variable of class electric bill. Now many students wonder why we are writing these brackets. Electric bill is a class, it is not a method. Then why do we write these function brackets here? I'll just explain in a very simple way that these brackets are, yes, they are for the function brackets. Here the class does not have a constructor. So Java automatically provides a constructor in the background. So you can simply just understand that here we are trying to allocate memory of the type electric bill here. We will discuss more about constructors in our upcoming videos. And so using this object obj, I'll first call the accept method. When the accept method is called, the values will be entered for the data members. Next, I'm going to call the calculate method, which will calculate the billing amount, and once all of this is done, we will simply display the output on the screen. So let's run this program. Here first we have to enter the customer name. I enter 150 as the number of units consumed. So this takes me to the second condition, where the billing amount is calculated for 100 units by 2.0 and the remaining 50 units are calculated by multiplying it with 3.0. So here is the total billing amount. Let's run this code one more time. And now I'm going to take it to the third condition. So let's enter number of units more than 300. This takes us to the last else condition, where the billing amount is calculated as per the given statement here, and also the surcharge of 2.5% is calculated on the total bill, and the amount comes out to be this. So this is how we can implement classes and define their objects in Java. If you like the video, please subscribe to my channel, and I'll be back with more videos on programming with Java. Thank you so much for watching the video.